So we're going to talk over, I'm Lindsay Dolan. I am one of the assistant directors in the Center for Career Development, and I oversee the summer grant program through our office. So today it's just going to be a quick session about our grants, what's available, what the process looks like, and then how to apply, and then any questions that you guys might have. Let me see what you guys are asking. Oh, the access is denied access for everybody. All right, let me try to fix that. 1 second. Okay, so we're gonna forego the Google Doc and we'll just get right into things since I have some issues over here. But welcome again, and let's just get started. And feel free if you have any questions to unmute yourself and ask me a question along the way, or you can wait till the end, whatever you prefer. Okay, so just the overview of our grants. If you've been familiar with the process before, it was a little bit more restrictive, but due to the pandemic still ongoing, we've again loosened the restrictions of what type of opportunities are supported through our office grants. So if you're doing a traditional summer internship, research, or alternative opportunities will all be eligible this year. The alternative opportunities began last year, and they include, but not limited to, thinking about industry-focused camps like business boot camps, coding, artist in residency programs, certifications, if it's like EMT, doula was popular last year. So in those realm of things, but it's not limited to just those either. So making sure that all of those opportunities are available for you guys to apply. We are able to provide these grants to you. We have about 20 grants, but they are all donors across different alumni and different individuals. So that is how we're able to support your guys' opportunities. So I think the main clarification that we want to go through is the traditional grant is really meant to cover your cost of living expenses. It shouldn't be considered a replacement of wages. So the grant that you're going to be applying for can cover travel expenses, daily transportation, food, housing, utilities. If you're under kind of the alternative experience opportunity area, that can include program and certification fees. In order to be eligible, the opportunity that you're going to be participating in cannot pay you any more than $3,000. So you can earn up to $3,000 and still be applying for the grant. So it's really looking at unpaid and low paying internships, or obviously the other opportunities where you're going to be paying to participate. Because of the pandemic, we have to be restrictive. So previously, a lot of remote opportunities were not funded, but remote opportunities are 100% completely part of the process now. So since many of you will be doing remote opportunities, but if your opportunity is not remote, you need to make sure that it fits the following criteria. This is listed on Handshake. So making sure that your experience, whether it's in the United States, that it's not under any stay-at-home orders, any travel restrictions. If it's outside the United States, it cannot go through any CDC levels of 2, 3, or 4. And making sure that you sign an acceptance form, and that you will assume all liability for your health and safety by participating in the experience. So making sure that this is where we have to follow. And then when we are going to be distributing the funds, we're going to wait as long as possible. And because our process is fairly lengthy, it doesn't impact us typically any more than our normal schedule, but knowing that you're going to have to confirm with me if you are chosen to receive a grant, that where you are currently and then where your experience is, again, meets this criteria. Okay, so these are our 20 grants that are available this year. So what's important about knowing this is that you're going to select which grant do you want to be considered for. So the descriptions are on Handshake, the descriptions are on the website. You're gonna submit one application and only one application. So it doesn't really matter how many experiences you're considering for the summer. You're gonna choose the one that you feel the most confident about and submit one application. So the Center for Career Development is the main application. So that's the main fund, the most general. The other ones are named grants from individuals who created a fund. And some of them are just have the same eligibility criteria as the Center for Career Development, which we'll go right into the next slide about. And then others have their own criteria. So it's important that you go to Handshake or go to the website and read through each of these individual grants and see if your experience aligns with them. So even if you're participating in an alternative opportunity, like getting a certification, some of these still might fit you just because of what they're looking at and what their broadness is. Because if you can meet the Center for Career Development, you actually are gonna be able to meet the Moorhead Family Internship Grant Fund because they're completely the same. Where the Logan Arts and Culture Grant, which you probably can infer, has a focus on arts. Falcone Family Internship has a more focus on business. So take the time and go look through it, because part of the application will you be selecting all the ones that you want to be considered for. On the application, please do not select all. That doesn't make it any easier for the committee to review and decide which grant you're going to receive. So it doesn't really matter which one you receive. They're all, you can apply up to $5,000, but it does make a difference in how fast we can process things. So just read through them, take the time to see which ones you're eligible for. Okay, so the main grant, like I mentioned, that is the Center for Career Development grant. All of them have to at least meet this eligibility, and then they might have additional criteria. So you can request up to $5,000 for cost of living expenses or the experience fees. So the point of the grant is not for you to have any money left over at the end of the summer. It's really just to cover your expenses. So you must be in good standing with the college. A lot of times we get individuals who ask us, like, what does that mean? You would know if you're not in good standing with the college. So most of you probably are, but just knowing that that is the eligibility requirement. You're receiving less than $3,000 through wages or other funding. And other funding is important to know too. So thinking if you are receiving another grant, if you're receiving a scholarship through the experience, or maybe you're taking a business intensive and they're giving you tuition program fee reduction, all of that needs to be put into the application so we know that. Priority is given to upperclassmen, particularly individuals who haven't received a professional development opportunity previously, those with financial need, those with academic and extracurricular success, those who haven't received a grant previously. And this is, again, priority given. It does not mean that is the only individuals who's going to receive a grant. That is just if it's really competitive, we'll look at those criteria to include in the decision making. So under this grant too, again, it has to be unpaid or low paying. When we're going to go through and review the applications, the process is worked by that there's a number of different staff members across campus who make up the internship grant committee. It is not individuals from our office, and they review your application. So they're going to look at whether or not it is unpaid or low paying, whether or not, how many hours are you going to be completing. Ideally, we're looking for internship and research experiences to be around 200 hours, an average of 20 hours, about 10 weeks. But again, because of the pandemic, we're going to be flexible on this point. So if your experience is a little bit shorter or not as many number of weeks, still apply. Be truthful in your application. It will not make or break you in your acceptance, but we want to understand where it's impacting individuals because of the pandemic, but know that this is will not eliminate you if you're not reaching the 200 hours. Again, full-time positions, this is just priority, and those who are given opportunities with alumnus or a parent who will mentor. So the application process that we're all interested in. So it's a one application, like I said, it's online beginning March 1st. It's a smart sheet, just like last year. You're going to include a projected budget, your internship or experience description, and a resume. These 4 pieces are required by everybody, no matter what experience you're applying under, whether it's an internship, whether it's research, whether it's one of the alternative experiences. Everyone needs to include these. This is an area where we can eliminate candidates if it's a competitive and we don't have enough funding for everybody. If you're not submitting all the materials initially, that can make or break your application. So making sure that you are taking the time to complete it fully. The online application consists of a number of questions. So you're going to give information about your experience, complete it. I understand that sometimes experiences might not have a website. You might not have a supervisor if you're getting a certification, but complete it as much as possible thoroughly. The projected budget is really important. The committee dives into your budget. So making sure that you are explaining how you determined your costs. So if you have housing set up, do you already know the cost, or is it an estimate that you think you're going to be living here? Food costs the same. If you have dietary restrictions and your food costs are higher, explain that. Looking at travel, like what is your initial cost to get to that location? And what is the daily transportation? Those are 2 different fields in the application. So making sure that you break that down so that committee understands how you're getting your total numbers. And remember, this is the actual cost you guys are incurring. So the IRS projects like 56 cents per mile as reimbursement, but that figure actually includes wear and tear on your car. What the grant is replacing is fuel. So making sure that you're just using the average mileage that you're going to be going, the average fuel for the car that you're driving. We're not using the IRS 56 cents per mile. So making sure that's clear. The committee might increase your budget, they might decrease your budget, knowing that the value that you have expressed, the need in your application, is not necessarily the amount you're going to receive. So that's why it's so important when you determine your budget that you're taking the time to fill out the additional fields and how you got to that number. There's a field in the application that, you're a narrative area where you can explain why the need of the grant is important for you to fulfill this experience. Make sure that you're giving the information to the committee. They really do look at it. That is how they determine and kind of rank who they're going to fund. Additionally, there are about 5 to 6 short answers at the end of the application, and it talks about the organization or the experience you've chosen to complete. So a little bit about that, how it aligns with your career goals, making sure that you are clear about how this experience will help you. So it doesn't necessarily, like, we support opportunities that are for career exploration. We encourage that. So this is where you're kind of deciding, like, last summer, I did an experience in marketing, but I found that that's not where my passion is. I'm really going to look to this new experience. That's completely fine. It doesn't have to be aligned with previous experiences, but you need to be able to share and articulate that in those short answer responses. Each application, so the committee is made up of about 8 individuals across campus, like I said, and your application is read by 2 of those committee members. Each of them score them. The scores are averaged, and then they're ranked. And then after they review and rank all of the applicants, they come back together and determine who they're going to fund. So knowing that your application is going to be read at least twice and then scored, and then they come back and decide. So that's where the short answer and a complete application is really important to give yourself the best chance to receive the funding. Okay, the timeline. So applications will open March 1st, and we will have 3 deadlines this year. So that is a little different than previous years. We found last year by extending the deadlines, it really was helpful, especially for those opportunities that typically get listed a little bit later in the semester to be able to distribute all the funds. So knowing that when you submit your application, between March and April 1st, we will not look at any applications until after the deadline. So it doesn't matter if you get your application in early or if you submit it on April 1. We will take the bundles who submit it on April 1 and they will be passed along to the committee. April 25th, the same thing will happen. Those who submitted between April 1st and April 25th will send those along to the committee. And then the last deadline to apply for any funding will be May 16th. I do encourage you, if you have the opportunity, try to apply earlier in the cycle. We only have one pot of money, and we anticipate we'll have it through May 16th, but May 16th is probably going to be the most competitive as the amount of funding decreases. So just knowing that, that's important to remember. Just reviewing here, if I forgot to mention anything to you. So those are the main points, quick and dirty. You guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, forgot to talk about this. So things to think about real quick. These are non-qualified scholarships. So we do not withhold taxes, except if you're an international student, you might be subject to tax. It depends on the country. Financial aid, you'll make sure if you are receiving financial aid, talk to the financial aid office to see if receiving this grant will impact your award for next year. So those are the main things I feel like I might have forgot to mention initially. And then again, open it up for questions now. Just unmute yourself. I just wanted to point out I'm on walk-ins on Thursday afternoons if you want to hop in, or there is an internship grant appointment and handshake if you have those questions. So open up to your guys' questions.
Hey there.
Hi.
So I just have 2 pretty quick questions. I guess the first would be, if you applied for an early deadline and your application was not accepted, could you revise that and then reapply for the later deadlines?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is kind of new to me. So do most people who apply see some kind of funding, or is that pretty restrictive? Or